What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpollia sitting on the couch, making some money, investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. Today, I just want to talk about several of the updates that Lofty's done. Just kind of share, there's been a whole bunch of them that they've made announcements about, and I started losing track of what's going on. So I figured I'd just put one out here that just tries to recap all of their recent changes. Share my, I'm going to share my opinions on them, right? Because I always have, I feel like I have stronger opinions about stuff Lofty does than anyone else. Not really sure why. I think it's because it's one of the first fractional real estate sites that I really got hooked on. I think there's, it's a lot. I think it just has the business model itself has a ton of potential. But, I've just been let down in a lot of different spots. But I'm going to try to focus on some of the good stuff that they're doing. Some of it's pretty obvious, and a couple of things I'm hoping to get some feedback about what other people think, because I'd like to see maybe some further change or some explanation about some stuff. So anyway, before I forget, please like and subscribe. In the description of this video, I have links to all the places where I'm currently investing in fractional real estate online. Please feel free to use those links and check out those sites, but do your own due diligence. Just because I invest in those platforms does not mean that you should. Just because I'm investing in specific properties that I talk about doesn't mean they're a good deal. Also, in the description of this video, I have links to a Discord channel that I set up. It's where, a couple hundred fractional real estate investors now have joined. We talk about different platforms, different strategies, due diligence on properties, all that sort of thing. If you do join, there's no cost. It's not a sales funnel, but you might get approached by fake accounts that look like mine in the DMs. If you do, I'm never trying to sell you anything. So if that happens, it's somebody else, and please report them to Discord. Literally never trying to sell any sort of investment properties, coaching, strategies, none of that. I'm not going to ask you to invest in my deals. So if you see any of that, please do report those. Okay, back to what's going on with Lofty. So some of the most obvious ones, right? They changed this asset allocation. I like this. I think that it's a little bit weird because it's like they separate cash. So all of these, they add up to 100, right? But they're separating cash flowing from vacation rentals. Like all of these seem like types of properties, but then they're pulling out cash flowing as well as like a separate. It seems strange to me. I don't know if there's something that I'm missing about how this works. It seems right because most of my deals are not making any money. But I don't know. I don't know if they mean something else by this. I think it seems a little bit odd. If anyone has any insight on that, if all of your properties are paying you a return, does the whole thing just show cash flowing and then you don't know a breakdown of what types of properties you own? I'm just not sure. I don't really understand what's happening there, because it seems like those are kind of different things, right? Like I could have a vacation rental that's cash flowing or a single family home that's cash flowing. It just seems like a strange allocation chart, right? Like I'd like to see two different ones, one that shows cash flowing and not cash flowing, and then a second one that shows how it's broken up between the different asset types. That's what would make some sense to me, but I have no idea. Maybe I'm missing what they're trying to do with that. So anyway, I think that's a nice change. I think the more info like this that we can see to get a snapshot of our deals, the better. I'm curious if this is just pulling actual cash flowing, if they're just saying this month, or if they're doing like, looking at sort of any sort of trailing cash flow. They also mentioned that, what else is new? That your total rents earned from a specific property, I think, are added. No, maybe not. Current rent balance. Oh yeah, total rent earned. Okay. I don't know if this it's only starting to, when they rolled it out, because maybe I never earned rent on that one. Let's look at ones that I did. Oh, I did. So these are ones that I earned rent on, so that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, I guess that was that was okay when I had it. It doesn't really seem like I made that much rent on this one. I'd be surprised if that's true, but I guess it could be. And then, yeah, I've had a lot that I've just never earned any. So that seems right. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting, but I'd love it if it was like total rent earned is great, but I'd love to see like a trailing 12 rent earned or something, right? You know, I mean, obviously every time they give me a piece of data, I'm going to ask for more. I think that, you know, if you're going to be, you know, trailing historic financial info is the number one thing I want on every single property that I have in my portfolio. I want to be able to cut it up in lots of different ways. I like to do it with deals that I own in real life. It's possible to do it with some other platforms. You know, it's one of the things I liked about Lofty Assist. Like the very first thing they put out, well, maybe not the first thing, but one of the early things was, okay, here's your trailing 12 cash flow. Or, you know, it took them a while to actually get to that because they were collecting the data. It wasn't available. Total account return minus 8%. This is just completely false. That's pretty interesting. I wonder why it thinks that. I don't really sit here and look at this page very much. But I did some math in a video a couple weeks ago where I showed you my total return on Lofty, and it's more like I made like 22%, I think, you know, so something like that. So I don't know how it thinks that I lost money. That's super weird. Anyway, that's everything. Obviously, yeah, there's still some bugs in the way they do stuff. Well, let's see. What are they saying? Using your total historical rent collected plus staking rewards and realized gains, losses, and principal does not factor on. You know what I bet it's missing is deals that were redeemed or something. I still don't think I should have a loss, though. I mean, I've literally... I don't think I've ever sold a token for a loss. I've had some properties sell in real life for a loss, but way more so for a profit. So I don't know what they've got going on there, but it seems like something's wrong. But anyway, the next thing. This is the big one, right? Their referral program. They finally have it showing earn $100 when you refer a friends. I've heard a lot of people say, so they changed this, so now it's $100 instead of $50. I think that's nice. I'm going to go into the terms a little bit, but I wanted to ask this question. I've heard a lot of people say that they didn't get any credit for referrals that they made over the last year, or they didn't think their number was right. I'm kind of in that boat too, right? I mean, I feel like it's really unlikely that I referred 18 people to the platform, none of which actually made an investment. My hit rate on other platforms has been way better. And yes, I've been somewhat negative on Lofty over the last several months, but early on, and when most of these referrals happened, I was pretty bullish on Lofty. So I don't know. I'm pretty curious if they did a terrible job somehow connecting it, because a lot of other people have told me they think their number's off. But one thing that I think is a counter argument to that is most of these happened during a time where the Lofty wasn't giving the $50 credit to a referral. And so if I send a link to somebody and say, hey, here's free $50, and then they get there and then they don't actually get that, well, maybe not a single one of them signed up, right? But if that's what happened, I mean, I think it's that's Lofty's fault, right? Like, I mean, we did the part of getting it to them. So I think it's kind of ridiculous that they didn't, I don't know, that they didn't pay out for the ones that you gave them the traffic like you were supposed to, and then they didn't follow through with what they were supposed to be doing. And so then they lost that business. Well, that's not really my fault, but I get it. I guess, it's just one more disappointment that I've had with them. But I am curious if you think that you have ones that you should have gotten paid for that you didn't, like you actually know the person in real life or something, please feel free to put it in the comments, jump in the Discord, DM me, because I'm trying to figure out, like, is this, I think that I know who one of these people is and that it's actually an issue. But I'm not positive. So I'd like to see, have other people weigh in and let me know, you think this is off, or no, it's actually right. And just my explanation of just sending them that bad link is why so many people just didn't do it. Here's the referral program FAQ. So some of the things are doing different now is, the person has to invest $250 on Lofty within 30 days. I don't think they had to do that before. I think it just was like automatic. They get 50. I think they just have to use it and then you get it. I don't know. I don't have any problem with this. I think, if you look at a lot of the other referral programs, they work in that way. Like Ground Floors has. I'm pretty sure Moguls is like that. Like, I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing, right? Like, you shouldn't just because they go there and get a free $100 credit. Yeah, they should have to invest something for you to get paid to refer it. So I think that's fine. But one of the things, I don't see it in the terms here, but one of the things that they changed that I thought was pretty interesting is when you buy things with your referral credits or your gift credits, those properties are in escrow. So you can see, I should probably, I had a $50 gift credit left over from like over a year ago that I hadn't been able to spend for that whole time. And I just was able to. And so now I bought 3 tokens in 9 Country Club Lane with it. And it shows that I have 3 tokens in escrow until May 28th. So I thought that's kind of cool. I think it's cool that it shows you when they're in escrow till, but they should have it somewhere on this page. And I don't know, maybe I'm just missing it where they say that it's going to be escrowed for a certain period of time. He did put it in the announcement. But obviously, I'd like to see it. On here somewhere. Anyway, that's the referral program. Please do let me know if it's not working the way that you're expecting. If you thought that you had people sign up during the time when it wasn't working. And the other thing I'm really curious about is if these people who signed up while they weren't sending them out, like these ones are all 2024, but like. Some of these were much more recent, right? 2020, 2026. Like, if they did this, are they now going to get that $100 credit? And if they are they going to get some sort of notice? Are they getting an email that tells them, hey, we're getting this credit? If anybody knows the answer to that, or if if you're somebody who did sign up, last year, but now you just got your referral credit, I'm super curious to find out if that's how it works. If not, I just think it's kind of messed up that they did that and aren't trying to take advantage of all the referrals over the last year. Okay. Oh yeah. One of the other things they did is they made the deposit much easier, right? Like you just, the workflow for it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but they made it so you can, deposit with your card or Apple Pay. And, I thought this made a whole lot more sense. So they made this look better. So a lot of these changes are better, or are for the best. They made this list view is changed quite a bit. I can sort by the whether one is overvalued or undervalued. Now keep in mind this is overvalued or undervalued based on that third party valuation model for the property. I would be very skeptical about if these numbers are actually right. Some of them I think are though. So I think this is a good way that I will start off looking for deals, and then I'll obviously, like always, do my own due diligence, just like you should be, on every single one before I'm getting too far along. I hadn't noticed this one down to $8.69. Wonder what's going on with this one. If anybody knows and they think that I should be buying this, let me know. I haven't dug into this one. Earl's managing it. That's super cheap. I wonder if this is one. Is this one that is missing the deed or something? Let Earl try to sell it. Oh, is this the one? I don't know. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of. But this is how I'm starting my searches a lot of times anyway, right? I'm either sorting the token price real low, but sorting by undervalued is kind of an interesting metric too. Because why? Why would we do that? Because yield is temporary and basis is forever. If you're someone who's coming in here sorting by current yield and buying it, that's an absurd way to do this investing, in my opinion. I like that there's this average yield. I wonder what this average year yield is based over. That's one of the things I don't think that I had seen I guess they just recently added that. I kind of remember that they added it. And I think that I hate how they calculated average yield. I did another video when they first did it. I think because it's not like the average of the cash flow over the past 12 months compared to today's price. It's like as the price and the cash flow moved, it's the average of whatever that yield was calculated at each point in time, which is a very useless number if you really think about it. I don't know if they ever fixed that. I know I complained about it when it first happened. I should go back and look and see how that matches up. But anyway, I don't think sorting for the yield makes a ton of sense. Anyway, I'm definitely looking for getting a low basis because you just never know. Like, I mean, sometimes you'll have an amazingly high yield one month and then, but relatively low average yields or, worse, or maybe just a big capital loss at the end of it, right? And then it didn't really matter that you had a good yield. But anyway, being able to sort by all these things, I like it a lot. So, they are making a lot of positive changes, even though there's still a lot of stuff I don't love. Oh, this was one. So on properties that only have limit orders, this was a kind of a neat update. You can still click on market buy. And what it's going to do is basically put together a basket of the limit, the available limit orders for you, so that you don't have to just whatever those prices are, you can buy there. I think this is going to be good for, one, I think a lot of people don't really understand the order book and the limit orders, and they just want to have this calculate for them. Why would I have it? Yeah, I don't have any money in my Lofty wallet right now. But so I think this is actually a really smart change. But there aren't a whole. I pulled up the ULD because I was thinking about it. There's just not that many properties that don't have a liquidity pool. But so this was kind of an interesting solution. It seemed like I was surprised this was something there. It must have been easy for them to roll out because I couldn't figure out why. There's just not enough properties out there like this for it to be something I thought made a ton of sense. Unless that's the case. So, anyway, I think that's even though it's going to have very little impact on me, I think it's a good change. So, give them credit where credit is due. In the right, we've been able to write reviews for a long time. But now you can go back and edit your old reviews. I didn't have the ability to show you that because I never wrote any reviews. These are kind of silly to write reviews of the property because as management changes, the property can change quite a bit over time. Mostly you see people writing stupid stuff in here, or there's a lot of people trolling and doing different stuff. And, I just don't know how useful these are, but they mentioned that they're going to come out with a way to review the managers. And I think that's a very useful tool, right? Because, especially as the platform grows, if there's people that are only managing a couple of properties and I want to get a sense of them, I think that's going to be a good thing. But that, as far as I can tell, that's not rolled out yet. That's just something that they had not announced that they're going to do. And then they made a bunch of updates to the liquidity pool stuff. I don't know. It didn't. So one of the things, when you click into the details, this looks quite a bit different than it did before. These are, if you've been using Lofty Assist for a while, a lot of the stuff they've added in here is basically sort of the same sort of stuff you're used to seeing there, right? Your buys versus sells, your net volume, your token balance versus staked. The APY over time, I think, is kind of an interesting thing that I've been curious about, right? Because you can sort by, or used to be able to sort by the APY over the last 7 days or after maybe the last 30, I don't know. But actually being able to look at it and see how well it did, because sometimes there's these big spikes, but it's only lasts for a short time because it's hovering around. There's some some catalyst that made a lot of trading happen, and it's not going to stay like that for very long. So to be able to see how these different things pop, like, I think this is a good change. I don't think it's going to be enough. I've been pretty much avoiding the liquidity pools. I still have some stuff staked, but I've had a lot of problems with tokens getting trapped in here, and with or having a big penalty if I want to unstake my USDC. I haven't gotten it's not a terrible return I've earned on here, but when it traps your tokens and or your USDC is locked up for who knows how long, it's not a very good return considering that, right? Like, if this is money that's locked up indefinitely, I don't love only getting 5.46%, especially because once the property sells in real life, there's the potential that I lose money as well. There's also the potential I make some, I suppose. They still just have this one, the unclaimed rewards. You actually do have, I don't think that they're showing you. I don't have any rewards right now, but I don't think that it's showing you. Maybe this changes to claim. I don't know. Use claim stakes. But one of the things that I really like to see, and I'm still just using Lofty Assist for, is all of the transactions. So like when I always see, I have rewards, but I don't know like which property it came from. So I'm not sure if I'm getting that or not. If you guys have been using, because I don't get a ton of rewards, because I've only got a few things staked. But if you've been paying attention, are you able to now see, like, when I get a new reward, do I see where it is? And the other thing too that I'd like to see is, well, let's look at one. That I have. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I see anywhere on here like what my actual performance has been with this. But it is something that on Lofty Assist you can see on there too. So, they're doing, a lot of the stuff that I want to see, but it's still not. They're still lagging behind on a lot of it as well. So at the moment, I'm not quite there yet. But so I just wanted to talk a little bit about, like, in general, all these things that they're doing. Is it really impacting? Like, it seems like, they're putting out a lot of announcements. They are making a lot of changes. A lot of the stuff is stuff I've complained about for a long time. Like, this referral program drove me crazy, right? That they had all over the site, earn $50 when you invest, and, had it so you could send links to people, and then those people, they didn't actually get the money, right? I mean, like, stuff like that. I'm glad that they finally fixed it. Is it too little too late, right? Like, are they doing anything to try to invite those people back that they missed over the last year? I'm really curious about that. A lot of the stuff, it kind of just looks like they went over to Lofty Assist and kind of copied their metrics, right? And I think, that's fine, but I think I'd rather, if you're going to do that, do a better job, right? Of, like, not just copying it, but, like, make it so it's better than the platform that, I think you could, I don't know, maybe it's not easy to make it better, but I think it is, like, I don't know, some of the stuff is just weird. Like, why are we sorting cash flows separately from other property types, where I think those are two different things we should be looking at, right? What percentage of our deals are cash flowing, and how are they broken up across different property types? Because one of the things that would be amazing to see is, like, what percent of my vacation rentals are cash flowing, right? What percent of my single family homes are cash flowing, or my multifamily? So I think they still have a long ways to go, but I'm optimistic because they are pumping out changes much, for the longest time. They would, like, talk about, we're going to do this, and then tons of time would go by. Like, for example, the referral program. They had talked about fixing that forever. And, there were a couple of times they were like, it's going to be fixed by, at least at one point, they said it'd be fixed by the end of last year. It's finally fixed, and hopefully it's working well for people. I haven't actually had one go through. Obviously I'm not terribly surprised because I'm not very positive about the platform. And so one of the things that I've been trying to decide is, I've talked about I'm slowly taking money off. I haven't put any new money on, and I'm really questioning that at this point. Like, only because of how cheap some of the deals are. Like, I think a lot of the properties that I've been buying at the current token prices, it seems like they're an unbelievable deal. At the same time, I just am not at a point where I really trust Lofty that I want to put a lot more capital on here. So it is, I think that it's good news that they're, updating a lot of this stuff. They put out and I did a separate video about this a couple of weeks back, where they put out an announcement about some other things that they're doing as far as due diligence for new properties. I think that's really smart, right? I think that we need to, but that's the overarching thing, is that all the UI stuff, it's nice to have, but I really want to know, are the facts about properties, like when I look at a property, am I getting actual facts, right? Is there some level of due diligence that's been done on the things that are put on this platform? And it kind of seems like, the answer is yes when it's an initial listing, but the manager can just come in and change this stuff. I think everything, right? I think they can edit everything on there. And if they do that, like, are we, like, I guess we're just at a point where it's, Lofty is not building any trust in the property listing itself, right? Like, I have to trust whoever the manager is. But they did say, like, okay, that listing, somebody, they can pay someone and have like someone like Earl or some known entity, right, to actually do some due diligence and put up these pages. But then, like, going forward, how long before they get to edit it, and can that just be done by the manager? I don't know. Like, that's the thing that when I look at other platforms and compare them to Lofty, that's where I get worried, right? We've seen it quite a few times now where there's been, either just negligence on the part of managers or scamming going on, maybe outright thievery in some cases. And, Lofty's, in some instances try to assist with that. But it's I think there's much more that could be done to prevent the things from a due diligence standpoint on the people who are listing properties, on the managers themselves, and on the properties themselves, that could be sort of required due diligence that we've talked about a lot of times. And so that's what's got me in a spot where I'm still just not sure. Basically what I'm doing is just investing with a couple of managers that I trust. I've got a couple random properties too. But it is just it makes me worry. I'm still worried about the long-term survival of Lofty, right? Like, if they can't figure out a way to make it so tokens on Lofty are worth at least as much as the relative value of the property in real life, I think when you see these huge discounts from the tokens relative to the real world value, it's that delta is created by a lack of trust, or, what people are seeing as additional risk in owning the token versus owning that property directly. They want to say, oh, there's not liquidity on the platform, but okay, what's the reason for the lack of liquidity? Because there's plenty of liquidity on Mogul, on other platforms, like they just get bought out right away. So it's not as if there's not money out there to invest in deals. It's that, people are, they want a deeper discount on this platform than really on any other platform at the moment. The secondary markets on Arrived and on ARC7 are still, holding up better than this market is on Lofty, right? If you look at the average discount across the whole, all available properties, it's really not that close at the moment still. So I think until they can kind of fix that problem, it makes the long-term viability seem tough. Like, why would you bring a property to this platform if, if you can't sell it for par value for the property? And really, if I'm going to give up control over an investment property that I own, I probably want to be able to make a premium, right? But if people aren't willing to pay any sort of premium, and they actually want a 30% discount or more, why as a seller would I bring it to it? And then on the flip side, as a buyer, why am I going to buy tokens at $50 on a platform where, historically they just haven't done that well, where I don't have a really clear picture into how who the manager is, how it's being run. Like, I mean, that's the difference where you just don't have for anybody who's just not a known entity on here that we haven't had a lot of experience with, it's tough to put more. But even then, even to, M1 and Earl and, S&P more recently, like these are people that I think a lot of people in the community trust. You still don't see their properties, experiencing and, selling even close to $50 for most of them. And I think, this is a great example, right? This is run by Earl. He's the manager of this property. I know as the co-owner, but, the fact that this property isn't just getting snapped up at $17.99, is surprising to me. And I think that it's definitely has to do with people's feelings about properties on Lofty overall, and not necessarily their, in the extra risk that's created by owning a token versus like, if we could all just get together and invest in this deal together, I'm sure that a lot of the people would be willing to put more, buy it at a higher price than this. And that's just what's really strange to me. I think until we get there, I am. You could tell I've been torn about not putting more money in because $17.99 seems like a steal for this property. And again, just because I think that doesn't mean it's right. Like, you want to do your own due diligence. But like $13.63 for this one. I mean, inside, like, even this, like some of Earl's, right, which 86 Madison is selling. His properties used to all sell at a premium. There are tons of them that sold over $50, and now $27.56. I mean, I bought this one with a higher market price than that. Like, even this one here is another one that Earl is managing, but it's it's less than the $50. But I think that when you look at this estimate on this, it's worth like even more than it was bought for. There's just no, there's a little turnover happening right now, but there's just no reason for these discounts other than, this is just the Lofty created discount, the risk premium that people are associating with it being on Lofty, and for one reason or another, not feeling like we have, a full picture of either a full picture of the deal is, maybe we, I think a lot of us just, feel there's extra risk there because of all the different problems that have gone on in the past. Even though some of those have been fixed, there's some new controls to maybe prevent them in the future. But obviously, the way things have been run up to now haven't created a lot of confidence in the marketplace. So I don't know. Yeah, I was trying to stay positive and talk about the new changes, and I just can't help it. Because I want to buy more of these deals, right? I want to buy more of the cheap properties where I think I'm getting a fantastic basis. But I just sometimes I think about just trying to buy these properties from the DAOs somewhere close to the current token price, right? Because it is like, you could a lot of them you could just turn around and sell in real life and make a profit right away. Without, but obviously you can't do that on a lot of these deals because a lot of people don't want to sell, or then the sale process is a hassle. And I don't know. I think probably, if they keep up their current pace of improvements, I'll probably start putting more money on here. Still doing tons of due diligence on the properties, but really only doing it with, being more selective with who the manager is, and making sure that even the managers that I know and trust, that their vision for the specific property aligns with mine, right? Like, I don't want them to be, so for example, some of the properties, there's just a lot of reinvestment going on as far as, some of it is like forced, CapEx repairs and replacements that have to be done. But some of the properties are using some of the money to get upgrades instead of paying out yield. So, I'm fine with that if it makes sense with the business plan, but, and it's understood going into it. And the same thing with, changing the amount of, building up a reserve. I think that's a perfectly legitimate thing to do. But obviously, there's a lot of arguments about both of those things in many of the Discord's channels for the specific properties. So, I'll pay more attention to make sure that I'm not buying one where I think, makes a ton of sense for a real world sale, but what they want to do is turn it into a water park. You just never know. And I guess that risk of not knowing what your co-owners are going to do is, that's something that I think Lofty will never get rid of. But I think that they can reduce it greatly by putting more controls in place about, what can and can't be done inside of a DAO, what the DAO is required to do, to stay listed, right? That's one of the things that they can do that, not telling the DAOs what to do, but say, if you want to remain listed on this platform, you have to do X, Y, Z as far as financial reporting, as far as, reserve requirements, all those sorts of things they could control a little bit better. Anyway, that's all. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I got into a weird rant about them. Lots of little things improving. I just, my main point, I don't think structurally, I don't think we're any different. I don't think we're in any better place. But I think maybe over time it could start, they could start to chip away at all of the, the uneasy feelings that they've created in us investors. And, at a certain point, maybe they could get some of us to put some money on there again. Because at the moment, there just are deals that look to me like they are tremendous deals. I'm just so nervous that we're like, basically picking up dollar bills in a burning building, right? Like, I just want to keep grabbing them, but if they all end up getting torched, I don't want to stay in the building too long, and all my money that I've collected there gets built up or burned up. So that's sort of what it feels like, right? Like whatever I leave on there is constantly at risk. And so I've wanted to, that's why I've pulled off all of my profit and then some, recently. But I think maybe with my next couple of sales, maybe I'll pull off less than all of it and do a little more reinvesting. I don't know. Any of you that think that's crazy, feel free to jump in the Discord or in the comments and try to talk me out of it. I could probably use that. It is 7 a.m. and I haven't been to bed yet, so maybe I am just delirious. But that's what I'm thinking about Lofty right now. It's a weird spot to be in. But yeah, so just to recap, if you have that same feeling about the past referrals, if you think that some of those are missing or something, let me know, because if, like I said, I've heard it from a few people. If it's really widespread, I think we should, make sure Lofty double checks it, because they are pretty notorious for not, their accounting not being great and whatnot, or, us catching problems and then them being like, oh yeah, that was a problem. Oh, which does remind me, we are still waiting for taxes too. Until the middle of March, I'm not too worried about it, but that's when K1s would come out. Although I think 1099 should have been out earlier than this. Yeah, so if you know about that, let me know. If you can talk me out of putting more money onto here, also do that. And if there were other changes that you thought were really positive that I forgot, please let me know about that too, because like I said, I mean, they've been rolling them out really quickly. I just think they have to attack the bigger problem first, and I think I don't think they really know what to do about it, and so all of this sort of window dressing is what they can do, and so that's what they're doing. So anyway, that is it for me for today. Until next time, I'm going to just keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.